Welcome to the Limerick Chamber Three Bridges podcast, sponsored by AIB. My name is Sean Golden. I'm the Chief Economist and Director of Policy with Limerick Chamber, and we'll be sitting down today with Andrew Maloney, MD of Hook and Ladder, and we'll be talking about his journey so far and plans for the future. Let's get going. Andrew Maloney, MD of Hook and Ladder. I suppose where I want to start with this, Andrew, is the story of Hook and Ladder, how it came to be, you know, where you got your spark from and how it started and how you got it up and going, and I suppose the challenges you might have had and the rest of it. Like, where did it all come from? Where did you get the confidence to actually take the plunge?
In a tough environment at the time. So I suppose I can't sit here today and take full credit for all of that. Okay. So we're a Limerick born and bred family business. I would have been coming out of college to when we started in 2014. So I have to give credit to my mother and father, who to this day I will still report strongly into, which is
we all do.
We all do, right? We all do. So I suppose where did the confidence come from initially to open up in a city centre location that would have been struggling at coming out of post crash? We opened in Waterford initially in 2013 in kind of a bit of a funny way, and it worked down there. Mm-hmm. And traditionally, if things are working in Waterford, they tend to be about a year behind any other trends. So we were that gave us confidence. Now there's many a Sunday morning where they go for a walk and they'd walk around town, and it would be the tumbleweeds will be blowing past them. So there was kind of humming and hawing, and then they said, look, they've always been risk takers. Yeah. Anyone that gets into business or employs someone is naturally a risk taker. So that was where the plunge in confidence came from, and then kind of from day one, the crowds followed suit. But used to be quite a day a week being a Sunday, suddenly became third, second, and it's not now far from being first. So that's kind of where the confidence grew from there.
Yeah. And I suppose you're strongly associated with Limerick, you know, and rightly so. How come it started in Waterford? Was there something that drove you there, or did the stars align? And
the stars aligned. Okay. An opportunity arose that it made sense, so why not? Okay. And maybe necessity drove it too, that it was, look, let's get back into this and let's get going. So I said, we're Limerick born and bred, living on just outside the Ennis Road. Grew up on O'Connell Avenue, so we've always been very, very close associated with Limerick. Okay. And obviously then if you could operate somewhere that was 2 hours away, maybe 2 hours and 2.5 hours some days, you could obviously operate something in Limerick then as well, and that's where it kind of grew from. And wasn't long after the one inside in town opened up. It was been 18 months, we had 2 more opened up in Limerick, and today now we've 6 kind of in the city and county.
Yeah, so amazing. And is it something that your family has always been involved in, the hospitality sector, the entrepreneurship kind of
the entrepreneurship side of it? Yes, definitely, 100%. Hospitality, not so much.
So was Hook and Ladder the first kind of
first proper hospitality business? Okay. Yes, other parts of them before had elements of it, but I suppose Hook and Ladder is a full-fledged hospitality business nowadays, and that was something we learned quickly after we opened the front doors, that maybe we didn't know everything about serving a toastie or serving a coffee in a timely manner. And look, not every day do we get it 100% right, but back then we got a bit wrong more than right at the time. So it's grown from there.
Okay. And I suppose there was lots of skills that you would have had from previous businesses, ventures that you could have brought into hospitality anyway. Was it an easy transition, you know, or like you say, there was challenges at the start?
Yeah, of course there were challenges. Look, it's staff training, staff turnover, staff retention, hiring of staff. It's a very short laboured market, and it always has been. It tends to be very quickly turning over in terms of its kids coming out of school into college, they get a part-time job in hospitality, or they're in college making a small living as they go through college, and then when they finish college they go to the big world. So your retention rates tend to be quite low, but I suppose learning different customers' desires and needs. You've hundreds of customers coming through your front door every day, and every single one of them are different. So you have a different set of tastes, desires, needs, wants, and that was a challenge to get used to that.
And how do you actually manage that, I suppose, and manage the expectations of 100 or 1,000 people coming in?
Yeah.
And I suppose as well, like, combined with that spreading consistency across all your locations, not only Limerick, Waterford, but Dublin now as well.
Yeah.
It must be hard not to manage the amount of people, but also then the consistency of the brand and
Yeah,
the
well,
food
look,
and the
it's,
coffee and the rest of it.
Consistency is number one.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. That you come into a location in Dúrdoyle today, you should in theory get the exact same experience in Dublin or Waterford or Corbally or Castletroy. Behind the scenes, it's systems. It's nowadays the prevalence of AI. We're deep in with an AI company based out of Dublin now. They run systems for us, predictive forecasting, food ordering, recipe building, gross profit guessing, all that kind of stuff. And that's a huge thing to get consistency. Because you're tracking the same KPIs across every board. That's all the data side of it. Obviously, the most important side of any of it is the customer facing. You'd have minimum once a month, there'd be a mystery shopper into all locations. You track it via that. That's obviously a glimpse. It's only ever a half an hour of a month. You can't judge someone completely on a half an hour, but it gives you a good indication. If it's tracking upwards, brilliant. If it's tracking downwards, what's up? Why is it happening? So a lot of it is KPI orientated per location. Customer insights on Google, customer insights on TripAdvisor. You love the
Are they always reliable?
you love the anonymous stuff.
Yeah.
Or when you get a 1-star review for no reason.
Yeah.
It doesn't give you any insight into it.
Yeah.
And look, they're part of it. Obviously, you don't like getting them, but the ones that actually give you a why, you go, that's good. Okay. Not that it's good to get a 1-star, but it's good to get a why on a 1-star. You can learn from that. So it's consistency, it's tracking those metrics. That helps. Obviously, then, as being a family business, we're on site. We're not a half an hour from any location in Limerick. Yes, Dublin is 2 hours, Waterford is 2 hours, but you're on site often in both locations. Or you've key personnel at a high level who you trust in, you work in. It's another big word, is trust. Trust is everything. You've got to have an element of trust in your team. Team and systems should equal success.
Yeah. And I suppose going back to the AI and data analysis part of it, very interesting to me. Obviously, AI, hot topic at the moment. Sometimes, I kind of hear AI and it seems everyone's mentioning it and you kind of roll your eyes and, but it seems that you've actually used it to implement.
Yeah, no, we have, yeah. And we're two the companies, I might give them a shout out, is Nori, or why they were trending there over the last 2 weeks on LinkedIn. They got a good investment round into them. Okay. So they're really, really growing. We were one of the early adopters of them. They're an Irish company based out of Dogpatch up in Dublin. And we were the first large Irish group to get on board with them. And there was a learning curve for us in terms of all the data they needed.
Yeah.
We're going, oh Jesus, where are we going to get that from? But I remember speaking to the guy before, and he was of the opposite opinion of AI. It's detrimental, it's going to create job losses.
Yeah.
Or is it going, well, if it makes our systems better, we run tighter, in theory you maintain or you increase profitability. We're more than likely going to open more locations.
Yeah.
If you open more locations, you're creating employment. And so for us, it's the predictive, the forecasting. It's traditionally within 1% every single week, every single day. You can go onto your phone. It's completely mobile. You asked a question as we're having kind of a chit chat before this. We don't have offices anymore. Yeah. We don't need them. By the account side of it, we don't need offices for our managers. We don't need them for ourselves because you're mobile. You're on it and you're live. You're live predicting, forecasting from both sales, food need, and labour. Obviously, they're your 3 biggest spend. Everything else tends to be very static except for energy. But so yeah, that's where the AI comes in for us.
It's very interesting to see that you adopted it so quickly into the business. Was it the type of thing where you saw it and you thought, oh, this is interesting, I'll give it a go? Or was it kind of a conscious decision to say, well, I'm going to future-proof the business here, we're going to do this now? Or was it kind of just suck it and see type of thing,
No, it wasn't suck it and see, definitely not that. It was two different things. We struggled with consolidated information. Yeah. We had loads of different systems. They were all brilliant by themselves.
Yeah.
But nothing spoke to each other.
Okay.
You were manually making an Excel sheet. Now we still do that just for our own peace of mind, but you'd loads of different points of information, none spoke and none kind of went against each other. So that was the very first thing it did. And secondly was then, it's future-proofing it. If we can run tighter than the guy next door to us, well, we're in a better place. We can, not that we can take any extra costs, we can't, but you can at least begin to see them quicker.
Yeah.
Or if they're having an effect in a certain location, you can begin to quickly see it.
Yeah.
And it's that kind of information. It's just that along with customers, obviously. Put the two of them together, and you've a really strong platform to work off of.
Okay, very interesting. And how do you manage? Because I know from economics and using data and the rest of it that a lot of the time it's garbage in, garbage out. So the insights you get out are totally dependent on the quality.
And what goes into it.
Exactly, yeah. So how do you manage that process of it? Was that experience that you had already, or?
No, so again, it's integrations.
Okay.
So you come into any of our locations and you press a button for a coffee. It's recipe, it drops our stock levels. It'll predict that you've ordered 100 coffees every single day, so you should have X amount of coffee in stock. That then fights our price with our supplier. If the supplier snicks an extra euro want a box of coffee without agreeing with us, it immediately flags it. It'll tell you there's a problem in your gross profit of an item. So for argument's sake, a burger, the butcher increases the price and you accept it. It'll flag going, you wanted a certain percentage on this, but you've now gone over it.
Okay.
So we recommend you either increase your price or you relook at the recipe.
Yeah.
So go and find a cheaper burger bun or increase the price. It gives you options and opportunities there. So it's, in terms of what goes into it, it has to be, it's sales only. Sales and online reviews is what leads into that. And we can't press a button in our tills. We can't give out food without it. So it's all full capturing is the theory.
Yeah. And so it actually deals with logistics and stock management, not only profitability and the rest of it.
No, so it's a single system, single source of data. Thankfully for us, we're centrally controlled. So if you're a member of staff in any of our locations, you only have one supplier. Okay. That is us. So any movement of stock internally is tracked via this app.
Okay.
And again, it's the fact that it'll go, we're going to forecast you need 10 boxes of chips next week. If the person goes to order 11, there's no problem with that. But it tells you, are you sure?
Okay.
Yes, we know we have an event on, there's a Munster match on, Riverfest on, we can predict something that the computer just can't know. Yeah. So it kind of gives you that.
How accurate is it?
Yeah, it's within 1%.
Yeah.
On average, some weeks it gets it wrong because of the fact that there's a local event on. So there's a local event on in Dublin. It can't know that there's a Munster matches, for argument's sake. There's some of them hold different weights in terms of crowds.
Yeah.
It can't know that. It'll know there's a match on, but it won't know against the opposition. One is a stronger crowd puller than the other. Okay. So it's a local derby. That's going to pull a bigger crowd than Benetton coming over to visit. So it can't know that information, so it gets it wrong, but it learns. It's only 1 year behind us as well. So we're hoping every year, second year, third year, fourth year, it gets more and more and more and more.
It's essentially learning.
It's learning as it's going there.
Yeah. Excellent. And I suppose it feeds in nicely to my next question about, so you have that side of data integration and the circular aspect of the business. But from the outside looking in, you very much portray Hook and Ladder as a lifestyle type of business. It's not just a cafe, it's not just a restaurant. You've expanded into other ventures, like your barista school and other training sessions that you have. Was it something you always wanted to do to kind of diversify outside kind of straight up hospitality, like you do your catering as well, or was it a market response that you had where you saw a gap and you went for it?
It's a mixture of both, I suppose. In reality, when we first opened, we had this tagline called the Living Cafe, and the idea with that was it was different revenue streams as long as fun, and there was something different. The table and chair we're sitting at was for sale back then, so you could buy it and give a cup of coffee and you walk out with a chair in your hand. From a revenue point of view, it was much easier work sell a €100 chair than it was sell 30 or 40 €3 coffees. So there's a lot less work involved in that. That element of the business has kind of quietened when we become so busy from the food service part of it. But I suppose any food service business can't rely on a single source of income. Is another necessity for looking elsewhere. The cookery school was a fantastic bit of gear that we had going for years and years. Unfortunately, COVID put the final nail in that coffin and hasn't reappeared since. And unfortunately, there's no plans to bring it back. But with that became an availability going, Jesus, barista school. And that grew out of COVID. A young girl came in one day and asked us to train her. We're going, that makes sense. Let's give this a go. And then from there, you're going to go, her friend wants to do it, her friend wants to do it. The school they're in is now interested in doing it. And you're going, this is actually an opportunity here. So you invest a little bit of money into it and you drive it on from there. So that came out of an opportunity arising more so than anything else. And plus we're good at what we do in that sense as well. So the multiple revenue streams, not relying on a single source of it, not that it's not recession proof, but it's, if one element drops, at least you've the rest of them to kind of help offset it. So if you have a poor week in the stores, which happens,
Yeah.
you might have had a strong week in corporate catering,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden you end up in the same place. So that's great. Catering was busy, but the stores are a little bit quieter. Flip side, the stores have a crazy Christmas period, but sure, there's nothing happening in corporates because they're all closed.
Yeah.
So it offsets each other again. So you're always kind of balancing every week. That's kind of makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it totally does. It's kind of like, you know, in economics, we have this counter-cyclical thing where, you know, you try to diversify as much as possible, and in the good times, you kind of pull back in your spending, and in the bad times, you can increase your spending. So when you diversify like that, it's kind of a similar analogy where you can kind of transfer from one to the other. Like one of the first things I think we learned in economics, you know, is when you're invest in ice creams and umbrellas. So if you have a bad week in ice creams, you'll pick up umbrellas.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
it's kind of like that. So it's interesting to see it kind of play out in the real world, you know. And with that, I suppose, and like the coffee school or the barista class was very interesting to me. Is that when you see people coming in for that, are those people that want a career in coffee, or are there people that say, well, this is interesting, I'm going to do this for a couple of nights a week or whatever?
It tends to be employment driven.
Okay.
They're not necessarily learning to be able to wake up in the morning and make a quick Americano before they go to work. They tend to be of a younger demographic, or a lot of them could be foreign language students coming over. It tends to be overall definitely employment driven. We see a lot of TY students coming into us as well. They're future proofing, so they want to go on a J1 and geez, what everyone hears that's going to be. They travel to New Zealand, they go to America, they go to Korea. Making a coffee is the same across the world. The basics of it. There's small differences, speciality versus non-speciality. There's courses, ups and downs, but the basic using of a machine is the same worldwide. So I think it's definitely probably employment driven more so than home focus. There are other classes out there you can do home focus on, but the biggest thing is always practice. The more you do it, the better you get at it.
I don't know about that, Andrew. Now I make a coffee every morning, and I don't know if I'm getting any better. I might be down to you for training.
It took me 7 years. But,
do you see when they come in to do the class, you know, can they transition into employment with hook and ladder? Or
there has been opportunities. There has been opportunities. I said it's tough. It's tough in our industry where I suppose a lot of them. For us, we're daytime, so we don't do a whole lot past 6 p.m. Rare we're open in any location past 6. But so for any of the foreign language students, that's a bit of a hindrance because they're in school during the day. The TY students or the younger students, they're in school during the day, so we can't feed their hours during the week. So we've definitely got 2 or 3 currently who are now in employment with us. Okay. So there has been opportunities for them at the time, but not massively so. Yeah. But if we don't have someone, we'll be able to recommend them to somewhere else, or if they're really good and they get it really quickly, they ought to get certified off us as well. So it's good for their CV at 16, 17, 18 years old. And the biggest thing is they have hands-on experiences. There are other places you can go online and get a barista cert if you want. Yeah, but like getting your learner's license for drive a car. Yeah, you still can't drive the car. You might in theory know how to do it, but there's a big difference in knowing how to do it and then getting in and moving the gears. Whereas we focus primarily on the moving the gear part, how you're actually going to do it, and the theory kind of comes after then as well. So it's a mix. It's a mix.
Okay, and I suppose on that, you know, for the last couple of years in Ireland, record low unemployment, record employment, hard to get staff across all sectors. I see it in the chamber. It doesn't really matter what level you are, if it's a multinational, if it's a bakery, etc. It's difficult. How have you found that impacting, I suppose, hook and ladder, but wider hospitality? And, you know, is there any way you pivoted to kind of manage it?
Yeah, it's tough. There's no denying it. Any of the local guys that you follow on socials, there's definitely weekly there's someone looking for now hiring baristas, now hiring chefs, now hiring KPs, and we're the same. We've managed to. A lot of ours is organic. I'll give you an example. There's a girl working with us from Costa Rica. She's finishing up in 2 weeks' time, but she found her replacement for us. She's my friend here is a really good girl, and she's looking for a job. The hours suit her, so I'm going to no problem, bring it on. It's been organic stuff. A lot of foreign nationals are backing up the economy in hospitality. And that's not saying there's not many Irish doing it, but there's a lot more foreign nationals nowadays coming in who are here to better lives and learn English, and they're the ones kind of perking up the hospitality industry. So
and are they normally via the English language school route?
A lot of them would be, a lot of them would be. And you can even see that changing over the years in Ireland. Like for a long time it was Polish were in hospitality. They've moved on now, and it's South Americans that are currently here. And that'll change again at some stage in the future, be it 2 years or 5 years or 10 years. So they're kind of, that's where we see it, that's why it's tough. And even with them, then you might need 2 for every 1 you needed before, because the fact that college hours don't suit.
Yeah.
So some of them could be on the morning, so you'd have to hire someone for the morning shifts, and then they go to college in the afternoon, so you got to hire someone for the afternoon shift.
Yeah.
So there was a stat out recently that hospitality employment was up. You're going, yeah, it's up, but the hours are less. There's actually less work to be done, but they're being done by twice as many people because they're not in full-time employment, they're part-time employment.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a stick that was being used to hit the hospitality industry recently.
Yeah, it's employment is always a blunt measurement for these types of things.
Yeah, there's nothing. It's a top fill figure. They don't delve into the rest of it.
Yeah,
but look, it is what it is.
And I suppose from a managerial aspect, logistics, the rest of it, how hard is it to manage? So now you've 2 people doing one job versus 5 years ago it might have been one person, one job.
Yeah.
How hard is it to actually manage that? What have you learned, around rostering and making sure someone doesn't have class between 12 noon and 6 o'clock
and
that
the same
day?
person, they're both the same way. It's been a challenge. So I said, look, I came into the business as a young buck.
You're still a young buck.
Still a young buck, right? I was ready to conquer the world at 24 and I knew everything. Yeah, that wasn't the way it was at all. But this was today we empower our management teams. Yes, look, a lot of stuff we do is centralised. Every location is a manager, but they have a supervisor.
Yeah.
They have a senior chef. I mean, the 3 of them, they look after the rostering side of it.
Okay.
We'd help out with the hiring. So we've always maintained that, I suppose, if you're in a senior role, you tend to be able to get a better judge of someone quickly. We'd help out with the hiring, and then from there, the lads would build their team. So they come to us and go, look, we need a 20-hour person, ideally Monday to Wednesday would be great cover. So you go find someone in college who can do Monday to Wednesday work, who doesn't need to be in college on a Monday to Wednesday, and you pop them into the team. Your numbers are higher, which gives you greater ability to be able to kind of drive it on in Christmas time.
Yeah.
Because they all come looking. 15 December, the hands are going up. Where are the hours? You're going, Jesus.
Yeah.
You didn't want them last week because it was Rag Week.
Yeah. We were all there at one stage.
Look, we've all been there. We're only jealous they get to do it again. So, one stage they don't want the hours, and then 2 months later they're screaming for them. Yeah. So, that's the man. Our teams are trusted to look after their own rostering.
And within Hook and Ladder, is there like a linear progression where you come in and you can actually move up, supervisor, manager, etc.? Is it something that you've experienced in the past?
We've kitchen porters nearly in charge of managing some stages. That's all. But again, there's no defined career trajectory like there might be in a corporate environment. You're here a year, you get to here, you get a lot of ours could be luck. Yeah. We had a manager before. I think she was in the door like 2 months as a floor staff member, put the hand up for manager and she got it. Great girl.
Yeah.
But she got lucky in terms of timelines. But others could be there 2 years and the manager above them could be there 5 years. So it depends on staff movements as well. But with any of our key staff are long-term staff. Yeah. Rare that we've hired from the outside inwards. Dublin was different because we didn't have a foothold up in Dublin. Yeah. But majority of our management team here are 7-8 years plus with us minimum.
To have someone for that level of tenure at the moment in a kind of very hot job market, or certainly hot over the last 5 years anyway, how do you encourage people to stay? How do you make sure that retention is built into your business model? Because it's obviously working for you.
It's working. Yeah, it's just the human side of it essentially. Like we are a family business and someone needs to buy a car. Yeah, we probably know someone who sells cars. Yeah, and we'll do the introductory. That saves them having no relationship with someone on Dundee. It's a connect. It's nice. They need a hand moving a couch. Here, have our van. Yeah. There you go. They're not going to charge you for it. Nothing to do with money. It's been nice. So retention is built out of that. We've no pay scales. We've no, look, obviously pensions and all that other stuff helps with retention. the biggest thing is it's a family-run business. There's no big corporate structure to climb, or if you want an answer tomorrow morning, just pick up the phone to one of us and talk to us. For some items.
Yeah.
Obviously, other stuff, you've certain ways to do things.
So it's a fairly flat organisation in that regard, then, is it?
It's not a big corporate monster where there's different levels of management. Like, we've managers in our store in Limerick. We've one lady then who helps look after the management in Limerick, and that's it.
Okay.
Then from there, you're up to ourselves, and then in same in Dublin, there's a store manager and ourselves.
Yeah.
There's no massive levels to go up to that way.
And have you ever fought the urge to introduce a hierarchy to kind of remove yourself from the day-to-day more, or is that something that you actually enjoy being involved in?
I'm not going to say I'm hands-on 7 days a week.
Yeah.
The WhatsApp might disagree with that though, but you're hands-on in that sense. You're not necessarily maybe serving on the floor, but there's many a morning you go in, and yesterday in Dúrd Oil, 8:30 they opened up. At 8:35 there was 20 people waiting for takeaway. Okay. It's like they were on a bus on the corner. So you went in there, you dropped the tools, you got on the machine. Half an hour later, queue's cleared, you're back to normal, and off you go. So we haven't fought that. We haven't ever wanted to do that. Yeah. It's not. Hospitality isn't a corporate structure. Hospitality is people orientated, customer focused. And if you're going to be this corporate kind of don't talk to me kind of dude, well then they're going to take that out on your customers end of the day. So,
And is that the type of leadership that you think is needed in hospitality going forward? Because obviously, lots of challenges over the last number of years, probably starting with COVID and then supply chain issues, energy costs, wage increases, etc. What type of leader do you think the hospitality sector needs within Ireland?
Within Ireland, I think it's, look, there's mentioned from the very start, like data is key.
Yeah.
I don't think any hospitality business can afford to be 6 months behind on data. Things change so much now. A supplier is liable to come along tomorrow morning and go, beef is going up by 20%.
Yeah.
Before they would ring you and go, are you okay with beef going up by 20%? And obviously the answer was no.
Yeah.
But now they just tell you. There's no conversations anymore. This is the price. If you don't like, go to the fellow over here who's putting up by 30%.
Yeah.
And we've had that, and that's a genuine thing. We've had coffee 20% in the last 12 months. And that's our biggest purchase, so that's a lot of money all of a sudden. So it's a data-driven leader who's had experience in hospitality. Okay. I think that's always an old age saying. Any young person, put them behind the bar for a day, give them a job as a KP for a week.
Yeah,
not long appreciating life then. When you're in the depths of a busy restaurant at 11 o'clock at night and there's plates coming at you from all angles. That teaches you lessons in life. So that's a mixture of data and experience, I suppose, really.
Yeah, I think some of the best lessons I ever learned were in customer-facing businesses. Like, that's where I worked when I was in college. Even when I came out of college for the first 3 years, I was in a customer-facing role. And then as time went on, moved more into office-based. Yeah. And now, I suppose, with the chamber, back out into customer-facing in some shape or form. With you being a member of ours, I would class that as customer-facing.
Yeah, customer service, it is.
Whether my customer service is good or not is probably questionable, Andrew. I suppose, a complete pivot on because I was thinking about coffee. 20% increase over the last number of years. Obviously, coffee is intrinsically tied to sustainability and sustainable practices. For some organizations, it's much easier to, I suppose, be sustainable. You use less paper, you use less energy, etc. But I can imagine for yourselves, it might be a bit of a difficult journey because you're probably energy intensive, and
we are.
So how have you managed that? I suppose, is there a growth kind of trajectory you want to be on the sustainability side of it?
Look, sustainability end of the day it's a big priority for any business, and in the hospitality industry, especially for someone serving food, your biggest sustainable practice has to be food waste. And another aspect of the system that we operate is food waste. So we do reconciliations every single week. We sell a full breakfast, our stops drop, we buy in the food from ourselves, our stocks improve. So end of the week, you should have X amount of sausages left, for argument's sake. We'll stock take that at 5 o'clock on a Sunday, and you'll check to see how many you actually have left.
Yeah.
And the ones that are missing, no problem with that. They should be in the bin.
Yeah.
And if they are in the bin, they'll give you a percentage. Okay. So, and again, it's comparing and contrasting store by store, and that's driving food waste down. Your recipe building is driving food waste down. You need a kg of avocado today.
Yeah.
Don't order 2. If you order 2, you're going to throw 1 in the bin. and someone has to approve that to spend and all that kind of stuff. So that's definitely driving food waste down. In terms of the other side of it, in terms of the single use stuff, coffee cups, all of that.
Do you see many people come in with, because I've done it a few times, I brought in my cup. I have felt odd doing it, to be honest with you.
I think that's a very fair thing to say.
Yeah, like I hand it behind the counter and for some reason felt a bit self-conscious. I was like, oh my God. Now I've done it.
The fella before and after you hasn't done it. We've worked closely with suppliers to the logos that had the plastic thing on them.
Yeah.
No one can do it without the stuff inside in it. So therefore you're not 100% compliant. We've minimized packaging. Anything we do use, we make an effort. But the industry that we're in, there's always going to be single-use items. Someone isn't going to bring it back in a box that had a burger in it a minute ago. It's going to go into the bin. And then depending on where they are, if they're in town or at home, if the bin is recyclable or not, that makes another big difference. If it goes into a general waste, well, that's it done. And that's obviously not readily available in a lot of parts of the world where you have multiple different bins. Definitely not in Limerick or Ireland anyway. So it's sustainability is hard. Especially, look, it's different if you're in an office, turn off the lights at lunchtime, change the heating system or whatever. We've a lot of electricity, we've a lot of gas running through. And obviously,
with your locations as well, like especially the one in town that I'd be closest to, it's not as if you can throw solar panels on the roof either. So it's difficult as well. And for someone to take the chance, like you did, investing in city centre locations, that would have been tough previously.
Oh yeah, if we went to the landlord tomorrow morning and goes, we're going to throw solar panels and see if you know you won't. That's my building, and that's fair enough. That's his building. Maybe something to incentivise him to get on board with it as from a government-led initiative, maybe. But yeah, it's a difficult one. It's a difficult one.
So we're moving towards finishing up now, and I have a couple of quick fire questions that I'm going to ask.
Go for these are always the hardest ones.
Yeah, and I'm going to montage them like a Rocky.
Rocky style finish.
Rocky style at the end of it, you know. What's the hardest truth you've learned in business?
What's the hardest truth you've learned in business? People will be with you for a short time, not a long time traditionally.
I can say
we're a stopgap for a lot of people on a career to somewhere else, which is absolutely fine. We understand that. Learned that one. I said the hard way. It was one of the first truths. You went, okay, this person you're working with, you've done really well with, they'll leave you any given day to go and better themselves, and that's absolutely fine.
Yeah,
that took a little while to learn. As a young fella come in.
And it's more common these days. You know, I've switched jobs a couple of times since I finished college, and we'll say my parents' generation will always kind of say to me, "You're switching jobs again." I'm like, absolutely.
Especially now there's the freedom of online work and having to work from home. You can change and work for a guy in Germany tomorrow morning if you wanted to, and you can still stay in Limerick.
So if you could give your 21-year-old self a piece of advice, what would it be? So only going back a few years here now, Andrew.
That's it, feels a lot longer. Listen to your elders. Experience and a bit of life truth that they already have. Unfortunately, they're right.
And I've been thinking about it myself a lot these days, that I definitely didn't appreciate it when I was in my early 20s.
So look, we were a family business. Living at home for a short period of time, and that it wasn't fun for anyone involved. But we all learned that of it though.
What book, podcast, or idea has most influenced you as a business leader?
So one of the earlier reads by a fella called Atul Gawande, a doctor. It's called The Checklist, and the importance of streamlining and implementing procedures.
Okay.
So no matter what you're doing, I don't care if you know to turn on the coffee machine, follow this list. Because the one time you forget something, you'll catch it. And he was placed in, I think it was a hospital in Africa with really high mortality rates from any sort of surgery. You go in to get your left leg amputated and sure you're home with your right leg off, like. Because the fella never double checked. Are we sure it's this leg? Just put in a procedure, a checklist, sign your name to it, and off you go. So everything we do, dialing in the coffee machine, opening the store, closing the store, placing an order, it's checklist orientated. So like if you're on your very first day and you're the only person left for whatever reason, you've got to do this. You've got it 80% of the way across the line.
It's a good way of sharing knowledge as well, like, you know, and it doesn't happen as often as you would think in business. I suppose in one word, describe what you would want your legacy to be in the Midwest.
Thought this one a few times, didn't get the answer. Standards.
Okay, I think that's a good one, and I think that's probably summed up our conversation here nicely. I think it's come across quite well that you've high standards, and rightly so, like given the industry you're in, but you've all the operations to support your staff in delivering high standards. It's not just a difficult expectation that you set, So I suppose lastly, looking forward to 2035, what role do you want Hook and Ladder to be playing in the hospitality industry in the region?
Yeah, we want it to be bigger and better. That's not necessarily by locations. We want our importance to be much bigger to the city. To bring tourists, to have a reason to stop in Limerick, to want to come into town, or to go and meet your grandmother or meet your mother for a coffee. And that's something we want to really grow.
Yeah. And I think that's something we can all get behind. I think everyone has a focus on bringing more businesses into the city and towns and villages. And
whatever we can do as a family, as a business, indifferent, to support. End of the day, we're from Limerick, we live in Limerick, and it's all Limerick Pro. So
good. Thanks very much for that, Andrew.
No problem, pleasure.
That's all from today's episode of Limerick Chambers Three Bridges podcast, sponsored by AIB. I'd like to thank my guest, Andrew Maloney, MD of Hook and Ladder, and of course our producers, Big Handsome Media. I'll see you next time.